Today we're going to make a pastry, which is like a French cookie that is made with puff pastry and sugar. And they're super light and buttery and crispy with like a perfect amount of caramel, and then you'll end up with like really pretty cookies that look like this. So you can use either store-bought puff pastry or homemade puff pastry, doesn't matter. I've got one sheet of puff pastry that I have trimmed to a 12 by 14 inch rectangle. First step, generously, and I do mean generous, generously dust your bench with sugar. Don't want to be shy. So then we're going to take our puff and we're going to put her in the snow, aka sugar, and I just want to roll it out just a touch, okay? You want to keep your rectangle, you cut it for a reason, so make sure you try and keep that. And we're not trying to roll it really much thinner because we already did that work, or Pillsbury did. And you're just trying to roll the sugar into the dough. Okay, so now we've got our sugar encrusted dough, because dough is always better encrusted with sugar. The next step is you can make one big palmier out of this, so you would fold this to make a large one, but we're gonna make two small ones. I've basically given my dough an extra inch, so 15, half of that would be 7.5. I'm gonna do the same thing on the top, because the only way to ensure that you get a straight line is by making the markings in two places. Line up our 2 points, and then lightly touch the top, and then use your pizza roller to roll a perfect line, okay? So I'm gonna chill half, and then I will, hello sugar, work with one half, and then I'll do the other half. Okay, so we are going to take this piece of dough and we're going to put more sugar on it. Duh. Sugar generously. And you're going to divide your piece into 6 even spots. Cut that in half and then in thirds. You don't want to cut it all the way through or anything, you just want to make a mark. Now, we've got our sugar, we've got our puff, we've got our markings, which I can no longer see because I've covered them up with sugar. And then we're going to start going long ways. We're going to fold in like a so, right? I like to push down just a little bit as I roll, because that way you're adhering the sugar, you're going to try and you want them to all be happy and commingling together, right? Okay. And then our last move is we are going to flip her over on top of herself, and you create like a little horseshoe almost. So what we're going to do next is, sadly, you can't just bake this right now. I mean, you could, but what you really want is you want to wrap this tightly in plastic wrap, and then you chill it for 2 to 3 days. You can also freeze it for up to 2 months, fun fact. So that gives the sugar time to, it almost like melts a bit, and it isn't just like crystals like this. And that way when the puff pastry puffs out, it'll hold its shape and it won't just burst open. If we baked it right now, this would just undo itself in the oven. So let's wrap this up, and then we will bake it 2 days from now. So we are ready to bake our palmiers. They've been wrapped and hanging out in the refrigerator for 2 days. And I'm just gonna cut them out so you can see, like, it's gotten the sugar, some of it has dissolved into the moisture from the puff. We want to cut so that they hold their shape. So you want to make sure your fold is either facing out or towards you, but you don't want to like cut it like this. And then you're just going to cut them like 1/4 of an inch thick. You want to make sure that they're all roughly the same size. You don't want some of them baking faster than others. I have preheated my oven to 375 convection. Convection is preferable here, but if you don't have that, of course, no big deal. And all I'm going to do is take my little pastries and give them like a little squeeze, and then put them on the tray. Little squeeze on the tray, about 1.5 inches apart. You want to give them space to puff. So now we are also moving quickly so that our puff doesn't get too warm. We want to make sure that our puff pastry stays cold, so we're preserving all of those layers. So I'm just gonna pop these in the oven. I'm gonna check them at 8 minutes. And then we'll keep an eye on them from there. We'll rotate and then keep an eye. So our pastries are out of the oven. Mine baked for about 14 minutes. So this is like the perfect color right here. You can see on the back, but that's a beautiful dark golden brown. Oh my gosh, so good. It's flaky and light and sugary, but like, excuse me, this beautiful caramelization. Delightful.